Hi everyone, welcome to Gentle Movement, Yin, and Restorative Yoga. I'd like to talk a little bit about the mind today as we venture a little deeper into understanding the workings of the mind. This is all information from yoga psychology. I'll start with a quote by Swami Shivananda, who said, "Understand the mind, study the mind, and know this machinery well, and know also how to manage it." So the aim of yoga practice is to learn to control and direct the functions of the mind. By learning to properly control antarkarana, the four functions of the mind, and correctly identify with our so-called highest self, sometimes known as Atman, we reduce suffering and increase our sense of well-being. So what are the four functions of the mind, according to yoga psychology, the philosophy of yoga? Well, there's chitta. You can think of chitta as the lake bed of the whole mind itself, including the conscious and the unconscious mind. And then there's sensory action organs. It's how we take in through our sense perceptors, our five senses, and the organs of the body. And that's called manas. And that's part of the subconscious mind because it can be our impulses as well. So it's considered the lowest aspect of mind. It's the sensory motor mind, the supervisor of the senses. And its function is to see that information is received and that action is coordinated swiftly. And then we have what's called ahamkara, which is self-conscious. It's I-ness or self-identity or ego, as you might know it. It's the sense of individualized self. And its function is to create our identity and sense of self. Although, as we talked about in the root causes of suffering, when we study the kleshas, when we identify ourselves solely as the voice of our ego, that's when we can get into trouble or mental suffering. So, next we have buddhi. Buddhi, B-U-D-D-H-I, is the conscious mind, known as the highest mind, the intellect or discernment. And its function is to discriminate between ego or I-ness and that higher self that transcends our personality, that transcends our conditionings. And so as we understand these sections of our mind, we can truly practice what yoga is defined as in the Yoga Sutras. Yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. And we can be more clear in how we use each part of the mind and understand how each works. And we do so a lot in meditation, but applying meditation practice off of our formal meditation. So that's just a little bit of that. We'll go deeper into each of those four functions throughout the next few days. But let's begin our physical practice. Feel into our bodies, and then we'll sit in meditation at the end. So as you're sitting now, make sure that your body feels comfortable. If it wants to be elevated, you can place a pillow or a folded blanket under your glutes. Perhaps even manually move the flesh of the glutes aside to really anchor down to left and right sitting bones. Begin to roll out your shoulders. Notice if you might be carrying any physical tension there. Tuning into the way that your body is breathing right now, window to what's happening in the inner landscape, in the mind and the emotions. And then as you release the shoulders slightly behind your ears and down, pressing through your pelvis, lift up through your spine slowly, lifting through the back of your skull. And then gently drop your chin towards your sternum, the center of your chest. And then slowly at your own pace, take a few breaths to circle your head around. maybe a couple of circles in each direction. So we know that thought patterns can cause physical holding patterns. So notice what might be holding tension in your body right now. It may start to unravel. And as you release those tension patterns in the physical body, those knots, we can help to open up the mind a bit as well, the breath a bit as well. And then lifting through the top center of your head. Rest your hands wherever it helps you to connect with your inner being. Feeling into your emotional state right now, your mental state. And your energetic state. The ways that you've fed yourself through your senses today, what you took in through your eyes, through listening, through touch, through the food you ate, how that affects your entire being right now as you sit here. And as you join your palms to meet at your heart, perhaps set an intention. Is there a quality that comes to mind from your heart space, from your that you could practice embodying? Let that begin to affect the way you're breathing as you lengthen your breath. Feel free to make any sound through your mouth. A few more rounds. And then sending our intentions out, as well as creating that resonance within. Let's chant 3 rounds of Om. Take a deep inhale. And we'll begin a pranayama or breathing technique to help create a state of inner and outer balance, one that helps to regulate the nervous system to calm, and that's box breathing or Samavriti pranayama. And just resting your hands wherever you feel comfortable, maybe thumb and first finger to touch to help focus. Eyes can be open or closed. So box breathing, will inhale through the nose for a count of 4. We'll hold the breath in for a count of 4, making sure you're keeping the body relaxed as you do that. And then we'll exhale through the nose, a count of 4, and hold the breath out for a count of 4. So try to practice the entire breathing technique without any strain, even if you need to vary the counts on your own or take your own counting pace. So let's prepare by taking a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Hold your breath out. Then inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 3, 2, 1. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep counting on your own pace. And finish one more cycle, taking your time. So that when you are finished holding the breath out, you can ease into equal, sustained in and out breaths, all through the nose, if that's possible without straining. And no longer holding the breath, gently narrow the back of your throat so that you can hear a very subtle, smooth whispering sound as your breath glides past the back of your throat. So making sure that sound isn't forceful, it's very soft, easy, calm, as it also serves to calm the nervous system as well, while anchoring your attention here and now. And continue to listen to your own breath as you slowly crawl down onto your hands and knees. Begin to move the spine in flexion and extension for a few rounds of cat-cow. Set your hands any way you like that. If you want to stretch your inner wrists and forearms, you could spin your fingertips to turn out whatever degree they will. If you want to stretch your outer wrists, you can flip one palm at a time, face up, so your fingertips are facing your knees, or both palms at the same time. Have your knees a couple inches behind your hips so your wrists are right under your shoulders, and use your inhalations to glide your chest forward and coil it up as you roll your shoulders down, looking up. Use your exhalations to slowly contract your belly, doming your back. Several cycles of breath here. So as you listen to that slow pace of your breath, feel into the sensations throughout the range of moving into each pose, the cat and the cow. So we can use the physical yoga practice, the asana, to fine-tune our awareness of subtlety. Especially as we slow things down, as we hold still in these yin and restorative postures. Let's finish off about 3 more cycles of breath. And as you finish the exhalation, relax into a neutral spine and spin your index fingers to face forward, palms face down. And we'll take another motion of moving in and out of a twist before we hold the twist. Thread the needle. So on an inhale, raise your right arm up so your palm is facing your right wall, opening the chest. And on an exhale, slide your right arm under your left, bent elbow. Maybe the right side of your head taps the ground. Inhale, rise up again. Sweep the right arm towards the sky. And exhale, thread the right arm under. Going for 3 more cycles of breath. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, thread under. Inhale, lift. Exhale, thread. Last one, and we'll hold in the twist. And now as you're holding the twist, do make sure that your head is resting completely on something. And if it doesn't rest easily on the ground, grab a prop that you can comfortably place your head on. And now feel out your two hips. Sometimes the pelvis will want to sway to the left or towards the upper left corner of the mat. Draw the left outer hip slightly back if so. And then allow the twist to mostly happen across your waist. By flaring your left elbow towards the sky, stacking it right above the left wrist. Allow space throughout your neck, sliding the shoulders down. And let's listen in to about 7 more cycles of deep breaths. Slowly finishing this breath. And then gently rise back to hands and knees, all fours. And we'll sit a moment in child's pose, bringing the inner edges of your feet to touch. Knees can be together or apart. About 5 breaths, resting your forehead down, extending your arms forward, but wrapping your triceps or outer upper arms to face the ground so that your shoulder blades spread across the upper back. Let your pelvis sink down towards your heels here, opening up your sacrum. As we come into a more neutral posture here in the spine, notice how you feel in your body and elsewhere. Let's finish one more breath in Balasana. And then gradually rise back to all fours where you can parallel your shins, hips width apart. Let's prepare to move in and out of the twist. Inhale, raise your left arm up high, palm facing left wall. Exhale, thread left arm under right bent elbow. Maybe the left side of your head taps the ground, maybe it doesn't. Inhale, raise the left arm again. Exhale, thread it under. 3 more breaths. Inhaling to lift. And exhaling to slide under. Inhale, lift. Exhale, slide. Inhale, lift. And exhale, slide. We'll stay here. Make sure that your head is completely resting down. Feel free to use a prop if that's more comfortable. And then take a moment to adjust your pelvis if needed to square off or level off your hips. As your right elbow is flaring towards the sky, stack it just above your right wrist and allow your shoulders to soften away from your neck. And then feel into your breath quality here. 7 more cycles, just about. Or any physical knots or energetic knots in the body making themselves known to you, in which you might respond by visualizing those areas receiving your breath. perceiving the spaciousness and the softening quality of your breath. And as you're finishing, 7th breath here, take your time pressing your hands to the floor so you can rise up. And one more time, 5 breaths in child's pose, feet together, knees together or apart. And this time place your arms wherever you choose, whatever feels like a neutral position for you. You might rest your arms down by your shins. Just allowing this pause for integration and awareness. One more breath here. And now place your hands alongside your knees. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Inhale, slowly roll your spine upright, lifting your head last. You may want to take your 2 blocks or whatever can serve like 2 blocks and place them right at the top of your mat on both sides so that your hands are on those blocks and you can step your right foot outside of the right block. So we're coming into a wide or lizard lunge, and then you can either rest your back knee on the floor here or tuck your back toes and lift the back knee. Just find the variation that feels restful for you, because we're going to move in and out of the lunge for a moment, in which your shoulders can also free up space in your neck. And then take a deep breath in. Now begin to straighten your front leg by plugging the thigh bone deeper into the hip socket while you lengthen your chest further forward in contrast, bowing inside of the right leg. Inhale, rebend, front knee slowly, right over the heel. And then again, exhale, straighten the front leg. Now if your back knee is on the floor, go ahead and lift the ball of your right foot as you're straightening the leg. So this is a wide version of half split. Keep going, about 3 more cycles of breath at your pace. If your back knee is lifted from the floor, you can decide it might be a bit too intense right now to lift the ball of the foot. So then you can keep the entire sole of your right foot on the ground in both movements. Couple more breaths. And now the next time you bend your front knee, prepare for single pigeon pose. So you can walk the blocks closer to your outer hips, then turning out your right thigh from the hip socket, slide your right ankle towards your left hip, right ankle towards your left hip. And then gently place your right shin across the mat on the floor as you straighten your back leg, tucking your back toes. And then allow a moment to wiggle around your hips as needed, so your right hip can draw back and your left hip can shift forward enough where your 2 hips are evenly facing the front of your mat. You might find it helpful to grab a blanket or whatever can fill the space, if there is one, between your right glute and the ground. And then from here, place your hands in front of your right shin and relax your back toes. Untuck them. With an inhale, lift your heart. Open the front of your torso, look up. And as you exhale, begin to crawl your hands forward. Slowly take your time here. Let the sensations guide you to the pace that you need. And you may not even fold forward. Maybe you feel plenty of sensation for now, staying upright. Feel free to grab whatever pillows, props, blocks that you could use to support your forearms, your forehead, torso, so that this position feels like as little effort as possible. So put your body into the shape, and then you rest into the support, the props, and then you trust and breathe with patience, with awareness, observing whatever might happen, whatever might arise. We'll be here for about 2 more minutes. And know that if you are going to the extent of paralleling your right shin with the front edge of your mat, make sure that you're stabilizing your right knee by flexing your right foot, in which you're pressing your right big toe mound actively towards the left wall. Notice the sound of your breath. Feel the depth of your inhale. Really taking your time to fill your body up. And then allow the exhale to take just as slow. So using this attentiveness to directing your breath as a means of staying present. And notice its effect on how you feel in your mind. That lengthening of your breath. So finish this breath that you're on, empty it completely before you press your hands into the ground or your props, slowly lifting your head, your torso, and easing into hands and knees. You might choose downward facing dog instead. Whatever it is, raise your right leg up behind you. Let it lift higher than the hip. You could rotate your right leg a few times in both directions. You could shake the right leg out gently, helping to further lubricate your hip joint and increase blood flow into it. You feel like that's sufficient, set your right knee on the ground too. Place your hands on your 2 blocks. Then slowly step the left foot forward outside of your left block into a wide or lizard lunge. And then making sure that front knee is right on top of the heel, it's not hovering in front of the heel. Choose to either keep your back knee on the ground or to lift it. Try to go for the same variation as you did on the first side. Take a breath in here, and as you exhale, slowly plug your left thigh bone deeper into the hip socket to whatever degree, straightening the leg as you bow while reaching your sternum forward. Inhale again, bend the front knee. Exhale, straighten the front leg and bow. So if your back knee is on the floor when you straighten the front leg, keep going, about 3 more cycles of breath. You could lift the ball of your left foot and flex it so that you are in half split, Ardha Hanumanasana. Now if your back knee is not on the floor and you're straightening the front leg, that might be a bit too much to lift the ball of the foot, so you can leave the sole of the foot on the ground as you straighten. Just notice what is available for you. And as you're finishing your last one, coming back to the lunge position, walk your blocks towards your outer hips. Turn your left thigh open, so externally rotate the thigh bone at the hip, and glide your left ankle towards your right outer hip so that you can drop the left shin slowly across your mat in front of your pelvis, straightening your right leg as you tuck the toes. Take a moment to wiggle the left hip back to shift the right hip forward as needed so your hips are evenly facing the front. If your left shin is parallel to the front edge of your mat, make sure to flex your left foot. Press the big toe mound towards the right wall. And then grab a blanket if you need. Place it under your left glute. Then place your hands in front of your left shin. Untuck your back toes. Take a deep breath and lift your heart. Look up. Open the front of your torso. Before you exhale, begin to fold optionally. Taking your time to acknowledge what's here on this side of your hips. And how do you respond to what's uniquely here? Feel free to use any props to support you. And I'll watch the timer now for 2 more minutes. Breathing in to the very top and breathing out equally. Feel the contrast at the bottom. And if the mind wanders off, notice any patterns in that wandering off. Are there certain postures or movements or times when your attention wants to wander away from what's in front of you? Or are there patterns to where your mind wanders to? Knowing this can be helpful when we can be aware of it without judging ourselves, but instead with a kind curiosity. Take your time finishing this last breath here before pressing your hands down so you can slowly lift your head and torso. And make your way into your choice of hands and knees or downward facing dog. You can raise your left leg up higher than the hip. Maybe shake it out or circle it out a bit. And then from here, bring your legs in front of you for a moment so we can set up some props. We're going to get into Supta Virasana, supine hero's pose, or hero's pose. So grab your, let's see what we have here. We'll start with the most supportive amount of props, and then you can shed layers of it if you feel like you want to go deeper into the pose. So we'll make a recliner out of your pillow and your 2 blocks. Use your 2 blocks stacked on their lowest height. Place them at the rearmost edge of your mat. And then place your pillow into an incline downward towards you at the middle of your mat. And then here, just put your blanket aside in case you might need that for support. And then we'll come to sit on our shins. So your toes are touching that pillow behind you. Like this. Now, if your knees are not happy sitting like this, here's where you can grab your blanket and see if this would work to appease them. You can roll up your blanket. The thicker the roll, the more support, and place that roll right into the backs of your knees. Or you can place it right underneath your glutes. If your shins feel fine, or your knees feel fine sitting on your shins, then you might use your hands to manually, gently move your calves externally or to the sides, and then sit on the ground right in between your ankles. Now make sure in any of these variations, your toes are all pointing back. Your feet are not turned out. So you're protecting your knees. And then take a moment to feel every toenail pressing the floor, including your pinky toes. This helps to align the knees safely. And then see that your knees are not wider than your hips distance apart. Keep your knees down. And then start to lean back if possible. Maybe sitting up is plenty. Now, if you are starting to lean back, visualize what your tailbone is doing. Sometimes it will tilt backwards, which we don't want because that can cause compression in the lower back. So think of your tailbone drawing downward. And the more you lean back, the tailbone is going in the opposite direction. It's slithering forward towards the space between your knees. So you're thinking of elongating the lower back, slightly lifting your frontal hip bones. And then as you're leaning back, you might be resting on the props or you might not. If you need something higher so the props meet you, that's where you can grab your blanket, make it as thick as you need, and stack it over your pillow. And if you're feeling like you want to lie back further, you can remove the pillow and use a block, medium height, to catch the area right underneath your shoulder blades. We do this in supported fish pose, that restorative back bend. And then the second block, whatever height you might need, any of the 3 levels underneath the back of your head. And notice your breath. The arms could be like a goal pose where you bend the elbows out to the sides. Make sure that your shoulders are resting down your back. And then we'll be here for another 2 minutes. So notice the amount of intensity you've entered in this posture. Does it feel like a balanced intensity for where you are in your body right now? Notice if you need to adjust so that you can sustain the variation of the pose that you're in for this length of time. And allow your body to be still. Feeling the subtlety of your breath. And refining your awareness of subtleties. Noticing if you might feel a shift anywhere, an energetic shift. Notice where your body might be communicating could use some nurturing from your breath. Staying right where you are for one more full cycle of breath. Taking your time when you begin to move. Allow for several breaths coming out of this position. Slowly sitting upright in stick pose or dandasana with both legs straight out in front of you. Just allowing space in the backs of your knees while you can move around your feet, like circling at your ankles or pointing and flexing your toes as the backs of your knees open up again. You might like to roll your thighs and let the feet sort of windshield wiper as the thighs roll inward and outward a few times. And then please grab your strap. Take it with you, clear out any props from behind you so that you can lower onto your back. And as you come onto your back, bend your right knee into your chest and step the ball of your right foot into the loop or the middle of the strap. Extend your right leg up towards the sky, holding the strap in your left hand. So right foot is in the strap, left hand is holding the strap. We're going to prepare to twist in a moment. Slide your right arm open to the right so the palm is in line with your shoulder, and really ground your right shoulders this entire pose. Now sickling your right foot, turn the sole of your right foot to face your left wall. So just turning from the ankle. Send your right outer hip, you can even use your right hand for a moment, away from your right armpit so it tilts slightly towards the front edge of your mat. With that, you might feel loosening in the lower back or a shift, an opening in the lower back. Now keep that action of right outer hip reaching for the front edge of your mat. And you can open the right arm on the ground again. Begin to cross your right leg slowly to your left. So you're twisting to the left slowly, breath by breath. Only to the amount that you can feel your right shoulder staying on the ground. So if you need, you can place a pillow underneath your inner right calf to catch it if you need something to rest on. You're also holding the strap. And you might like to turn your head to face your right shoulder. So you're also stretching into your neck. I'll watch the clock here for 2 minutes before we switch sides in the twist. So as you remain in the twist, continue to send your right outer hip towards the front edge of your mat. So it's shifting away from your right armpit. Your right foot continues to sickle, so the sole is facing the earth. Breathe in. You might imagine breathing from the bottom of your spine slowly up each vertebra to your crown. And then breathing out from your crown, down your spine, out through the tailbone. Finish about 2 more deep breaths here. And as you're finishing the second exhale, slowly unwind your spine, come back to center. Put the strap aside for a moment. Extend both legs on the ground like Shavasana. Reach your arms overhead. Get really long through both ends of your body. You might choose to interlace your fingers and flip your palms inside out. And take a few breaths in a more neutral position here to observe the effects of that twist. Take a deep inhale as if you could into your whole body from crown to soles. And opening your mouth, let out any sound. Now let's prepare for side 2. Bend your left knee into your chest. Grab your strap. Step the ball of your left foot into it. Extend your left leg up towards the sky. Hold the strap in your right hand. Now take a moment here. You could use your left hand to send your left outer hip towards the front edge of your mat. So it's a slight tilt away from the left armpit. Sickle your left foot. Turn the sole to face your right wall from the ankle. Then slide your left arm straight out to the left on the floor, grounding the shoulder. And as you're ready, begin to cross your left leg to your right, twisting to your right, breath by breath. Continue to roll your left outer hip forward as you do this. And again, feel free to use any props you might need to catch your inner left leg so that you're only twisting to the range in which your left shoulder stays grounded. Maybe turning your head to look past your left shoulder. Now watch the clock here for 2 minutes. And perhaps visualizing breathing up your spine from tailbone to crown. And exhaling down your spine from crown to tailbone. Last few cycles of breath. And then as you finish the exhale that you're on, slowly unravel from the twist. Put the strap aside. This time bend both knees into your chest. Hugging your shins. Maybe crossing the forearms in front of your knees. Maybe holding opposite elbows. And as we hold this position, a little more neutral position from the twist, Let your chin slightly drop towards your sternum without completely closing your throat, so that you're lengthening the back of your neck. And then press the backs of your shoulders on the ground. Press your tailbone into the ground. And then maybe imagine breathing up and down your spine for about 3 breaths. Gently set your 2 feet on the floor and please grab a block. We're going to take a minute of supported shoulder stand. You might grab a pillow instead. So slide that prop across your mat underneath your sacrum, the flat part of your lower back. I like to slide it a little higher than, or a little more towards the back ribs than the glutes, just a slightly closer than I would for supported bridge pose. Because you're going to lift the feet off the ground and you want to feel completely stable, comfortably supported by that block to raise both legs up. And they don't have to be completely straight. You can also use a strap around the balls of your feet to help hold your legs up. Let it be as comfortable of a position as possible. We'll be here for a minute. Now this is a great posture for stimulating circulation, releasing tiredness from your feet and your legs. And as the blood circulates downward towards the belly, the digestive organs, you're also helping to stimulate your digestion. To help, you might focus on breathing into your abdomen. Perhaps even placing your palms on your belly too, which can feel grounding. So breathing into the belly, inhale gently expands the belly to lift into your palms if they're there. You're breathing into a balloon, and the exhale gently softens the belly downward towards the spine. Feel that gradual rise and fall of the belly and of your breath. And on this last breath here, really take your time with the exhale through your mouth. So empty the breath slower than you take it in, and exhale through the mouth. Bending one knee and the other, softly step your feet onto the floor. Lifting your pelvis, remove the prop from under your body. And then we'll set up for Shavasana. Here are a few things you might consider to support your body restfully, unless you choose no props at all. So if you've got tension in the lower back, you could place a pillow right up across your mat, under the backs of your knees as you splay your legs apart, wider than hips width. If you want a little more opening in the fronts of the shoulders and the chest, you can use one block for supported fish pose. So that one block is across the mat, lowest height, and you'll land so that it's right about under the shoulder blades, but you don't want to feel like you're hyper arching the lower back. So just play with where it goes. So you also want to feel like your shoulder bones are releasing off the edge of the block, so they're tilting backwards. And then you might also like to place a folded blanket so it's slightly weighted right across your pelvis and lower bellies. That can feel relaxing. Maybe if you have something to cover your eyes, that gentle weight can also feel very soothing. And then allow a moment to shift anything that needs so that you feel balanced in the left and right hemispheres of your body. Palms are turned up, a gesture of openness, receptivity. And then take one last deep breath in through your nose, flushing it out through the mouth before letting go of controlling your breath and really embodying a feeling of sweet surrender, of letting go of all efforts, yet being still aware with that kind curiosity. Be here for a few minutes in Shavasana. As you keep your eyes closed, allow your fingers and toes to ease into movement. Gently moving your hands and feet, and gradually your arms, legs, neck and shoulders. Perhaps you choose to draw your bent knees into your chest, hugging in for a moment. Whether you rock yourself forward or turn over to your right side, As you feel ready, lift your body upright into a comfortable seat as we prepare for 5 minutes in meditation. So remembering that Yoga Sutra 1.2, it's the second sutra within the 8-limb path of yoga. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. So here we sit in meditation to observe the ways in which our minds fluctuate so that we don't entangle ourselves as those fluctuations. We can remember that we are that which is witnessing those fluctuations, or that eternal self in Sanskrit called Purusha, which means soul. And by no longer defining ourselves by the constantly changing forms, those different thoughts, sensations, and emotions rising and falling, we're no longer trapped in the rise and fall of life circumstance. Instead, we're deeply rooted and identified with that eternal self, Purusha. And we develop the ability to see beyond form. So with that, close your eyes or softly steady a gaze just ahead as you're sitting tall and relaxed. Hands can be in any mudra that helps, like Dhyana Mudra, thumb and first finger to touch, or stacking the palms, thumb tips touch. And as you allow your breath to flow naturally, no longer controlling it, feel its gentle length of in and out. I invite you to visualize, as we've already started to do in our physical practice, the beginning of the inhale. Start at the base or bottom of your spine. And with a natural inhalation, the breath rises up each vertebra to your crown. And with a natural pace of exhalation, the breath descends from your crown, down your spine, and out through your tailbone. So following your breath in your mind's eye, the inhale up and the exhale down. So in following the breath with your awareness, you're cultivating dharana, the 6th limb of yoga, which is concentration. If your attention wanders away, concentration is broken, notice what the tendency is. Where does it wander away to? And can you redirect your attention back to the practice? Again, with that feeling of kind curiosity. So at a certain point of our concentration practice, dharana, we can become totally absorbed in that object that we're concentrating on, and that's meditation, dhyana, the seventh limb of yoga. For now, let's join the hands together at the heart as we close this formal practice of meditation, but know that you can infuse tidbits of the practice throughout your day as you cultivate these skills. Let's take a deep breath for one chant of Om. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.